ISO 2022. For quite some time, we have been keeping up with this. It is a standard that, in my view, will make it possible for blockchain technology to be heavily integrated into the banking sector. As you are aware, banks are now approving stable currencies and cryptocurrency. We should, in my opinion, concentrate on this even more today than in the past. However, if we go all the way back to ISO 2022, many people were strongly connecting this to XRP, even though we now know that it was never truly intended to be connected to XRP. However, as of right now, we are aware that ISO 22 has little bearing on the value of XRP or anything similar. However, we are aware that this norm requires institutions to innovate. They must be creative, and they will begin to be phased out if they don't. For the first time in history, banks will be required to upgrade their systems by ISO 2022. What's the next improvement then? What are they planning to replace? What is the DT Rails blockchain going to be? At this point, we begin to genuinely tie it back to XRP, and that's where the importance of this standard becomes apparent. This is greatly facilitating the adoption of DT and blockchain. However, we currently have a forecast on this as well. Currently, ISO 2022 payment instructions are being adopted, and, well, the adoption is visible here. Although it's a little bit scratched, we can actually see it quite well from here. We may observe that in the second quarter of 2025, they claim 70%, but in reality, it is 35%, or roughly half, and by November 2025, it is 91%. Now, if we're based on the half point here, between the actual prediction and the projected top 175 originators for the second quarter of 2025, that's a really big amount. 91%, I would say. Probably around 45%. However, this indicates that the adoption rate is beginning to increase. In other words, it is visible from the first quarter of 2024 until the second quarter of 2025. Thus, once more, we're essentially examining that November 2025 period. And the reason for that is that this is somewhat in line with blockchain considerate. By the end of August, stablecoin laws are expected to take effect, with the Crypto Task Force and SEC that they have established. It's fascinating to see how blockchain and cryptocurrency in the US are becoming more clear. Additionally, the FSB informed us that by the end of 2025, they plan to implement a worldwide crypto harmonized framework that will essentially provide clarity for the whole crypto market. We are still unsure if that will be the case. Some of these things do take longer than expected, but the FSB is collaborating with the G20, the IMF, and BIS, a group I've been keeping a close eye on, particularly with regard to their global harmonized framework. And this is in line with the adoption of ISO 2022 and the standard's increasing recognition. Now, let's visit Smokedog's post here to actually discuss that a little bit more. The use cases for XRP in Swift-compatible systems will grow in frequency as ISO 2022 payment instructions spread throughout the network. Swift and XRP are shown together in the Earthport diagram under Payment Instruction, which describes the information necessary to transfer fiat or cryptocurrency. The fact that XRP-based payments depend on ISO 22 compliant instructions guaranteeing compatibility with the Swift network is further supported by Ripple publications, and those pictures are truly visible here. Worldwide connectivity, payment instructions, and Rapid and Ripple in terms of that format transformation on the left side. On the left side, you have the center port, at center point Earth. Our local fiat currencies may now be bridged with XRP, allowing us to quote on price and FX using stable currency. The FX market is essentially moving on chain, so it Makes sense for XRP to remain that bridge. Payment instructions are also located on the right side at the bottom. And the integration module, ISO 22 Ripple Net Payment Object Standards, which use the ISO 22 PAX message definition as a basis for all payment instructions, are being widely adopted at this point. Additionally, since everything is still based on stable currency, what's happening in October of this year is also relevant. Because we're going back to that FX paradigm, we're still looking at stable coins becoming a significant thing. This is that FX model, where the bridge is XRP at the center. The digital euro will be available in October. Christine Lagarde, the head of the European Central Bank, has stated that the ECB will make a decision about the introduction of a digital euro by October of this year. Pay close attention. We have October as our deadline. My governing council must therefore determine in October 2025 whether or not to proceed. Thus, that day is significant. In order for us to launch, I fervently hope that by that time, the European Parliament will have passed the laws that will support our work on the single rulebook, policy work, and technology we have. What interests me now is the reasoning behind some of these releases, or anything that has somewhat matched XRP exactly. As previously discussed, the statement that XRP was not a security occurred just after the BIS with CPMI Group XRP in 2023. With Ripple, the CPMI Group became a reality. Additionally, the same sort of applies to all of the new CBDCs, digital euros, and digital pounds that are being introduced today. Everything is falling into place. What time period does that follow? Not only does it keep up with events surrounding XRP, because once more, a lot of things are related to XRP, but it also complies with legal requirements. This was the initial announcement made on March 13th. If we go over here, the digital euro is more relevant than ever, according to Christine Lagarde. The decision to issue it will only be taken into consideration if the required legislation is completed. This preparation period finishes in October. Although the EU has already approved MA, I believe that with so much going on regarding laws involving CBDCs, digital euros, and other similar measures, it is also sort of following the US's lead. This is unquestionably a CBDC number one, in my opinion. Second though, I believe that the US's efforts regarding stable coin programs and cryptocurrency are beginning to get international traction, which is encouraging other countries to step up their own projects. It would be absolutely crazy if the digital euro were to be deployed in October, since that would speed up everything else after the fact. And by October, I'd bet that the US has already heavily embraced stablecoin projects. We are already welcoming all stablecoins that are onshore and denominated in USD, including ROD and Ripple. However, this is also bringing me to SWIFT, isn't it? Since this is a digital euro once more. According to them, it's a CBDC. To put it simply, it's a stable coin, which is the same as a CBDC, although I've discussed it several times. This is also consistent with SWIFT's statements. Their hackathon is right here, isn't it? Hackathon in 2025. It is more important than ever to show the advantages of digital currencies while maintaining interoperability, compliance, and effective cross-currency movements as they gain traction, including stablecoins, CBDC, and others. All right, let's consider this now. The Digital Euro Association includes Ripple. They joined this in 2022. This is precisely what the Digital Euro Associate Association is. And the same is true of the Digital Pound Foundation, which we'll discuss here in a moment. However, the reason I'm bringing this up, and the reason I'm SWIFT, is currently discussing cross-currency flows, stable coins, and CBDCs in relation to all of this. cross-currency movements that are efficient. Let's return to the smoke dog artwork that depicted the bridge connecting two currencies. How to do it in 3 seconds at a single, set rate. This is quick, affordable, dependable, and easy to use. Additionally, it has no risk or volatility and is completely transparent. This is enormous. The cross-currency flow issues that plague conventional payments today are resolved by this. Furthermore, XRP is an effective bridge between two assets, like as stablecoins and CBDCs, as David Schwartz explained back in 2021. Well, XRP is a good way to connect two assets, such as stablecoins and CBDCs. It's impartial, without jurisdiction. It resists censorship. There is no central counterparty that you must have faith in. It can therefore serve as a kind of all-purpose bridge. In order for banks and regulators to operate in a multi-asset future without having to cope with hundreds of different APIs, hundreds of different controllers, or various rule sets, blockchains are what create that level playing field. Thank you here is not alone in saying this though. Marcus Treacher also made reference to this in 2023. If we do come over here, take a look at this. There is a chance to tie those CBDCs together via a bridge asset, another cryptocurrency model, and CBDCs operating domestically, delivering liquidity at the right time to microscans from one region of the world to another, is an opportunity. Additionally, the model we concentrate on uses XRP, a digital asset with a very high velocity and volume. As opposed to a stable currency or CBDC, it is a free-floating asset. Utilize it as a medium of exchange amongst the CBDC. Imagine a future in which, say, there are 180 distinct CBDCs worldwide, one for each jurisdiction. It is difficult to create markets between those CBDCs unless there is a single bridge currency that allows for more efficient connections and the creation of markets between these different currencies. You are really redefining how value is transferred across borders when you combine that with a bridge currency between those CBDCs and the overriding ledger connection between the blockchains that operate those CBDCs. It's a very different situation. Additionally, this is comparable to their, value push on the internet. But this is insane when you consider what's going on now, isn't it? CBDCs are being introduced by central banks. They're referred to as digital euros, pounds, etc. We have USD stablecoins at the same time that we have euro stablecoins. All of these coins are steady. This is even being outlined by Swift, isn't it? Our stablecoins are CBDC, even have valuable items tokenized. XRP is associated with something of worth, isn't it? There might only be two assets. Stablecoins or CBDCs are not required. There could be two tokenized items. There could be two valuable items. Two things, anything of value. XRP might be that effective link. Therefore, consider how the use case of XRP is strengthened with each stablecoin or CBDC introduction. For this reason, I believe that even ROUSD will kill XRP, as many people have stated. No, it genuinely supports XRP's use case, and we then consider all of these launches. On the 31st, I wrote on my former account that the financial system is undergoing a revolution, and that this is occurring with stablecoins like Ripple XRP. 4 stablecoins that were scheduled to debut on the XRP ledger were confirmed in a single month. Additionally, USDB, BBRL, EuroP, and XSGD. Not to mention ROUSD, or the V stablecoin from SocGen Forge. The $7 is happening right now. XRP is leading the way in the massive on-chain movement of the $5 trillion daily currency market more quickly than ever before. These steady coin movements are picking up speed. Furthermore, I believe that everyone should understand the significance of stable coins. Stable coins are worth trillions of dollars, but most people only see their surface value. They also make use cases like tokenization, cross-border payments, institutional DeFi, and much more possible. This is the first piece of the puzzle that will fit together to reveal a vast amount of usefulness and pump billions of dollars worth of value into networks like XRPL. Although it won't happen right away, we are seeing these changes occur more quickly than in the past. And it's fascinating to observe how the crypto scene is changing. And yes, this is something we need you to consider, don't you? This kind of quick shift has never been seen in cryptocurrency before. And now that this is occurring, various markets such as the FX market, which is worth $7.5 trillion every day, are moving on the chain and taking place all over the XRP ledger. The reason for this is the XRP ledger's efficiency, which makes it a very effective bridge currency between any two valuable items. I've always emphasized that everything is moving on a chain because of this. Central banks are following suit. Fiat money is being transferred on a chain. Governments such as the United States are strengthening stable coins. As ISO 22 is being implemented, we are keeping an eye on everything. Banks require it to move on chain as well, because, as you are aware, even with the FDIC, OC, and Fed approving banks, it is in line with the entire timeline, correct? The timeline of ISO 2022 is essentially by the end of 2025-2026, by which time we will have globally harmonized frameworks for crypto stablecoin legislation already in place, so everything is in line. I do believe that Ripple and XRP have been selected. These are the two primary individuals who consistently attend all significant meetings, conferences, and other events. Now, are they the only ones who were selected? No. Hydera is present as well. There's also Stellar. I have complete faith in a few players from the space. XRP and Ripple are two of those players, you know. Furthermore, the digital pound is also becoming a reality in the UK, you know. The strange thing about this is that Ripple held a policy summit in the UK as well. They held this event to talk about ways the UK can further establish itself as a leader in digital assets worldwide. Faster cross-border payments and the tokenization of financial markets are only two of the many opportunities for growth that the future legal framework presents. We need to move quickly and have a transparent, risk-sensitive regulatory strategy if we want to succeed. The UK should take the lead in this rapidly changing industry. Once more, what's remarkable about this is that Ripple is at the center of everything that happens with stablecoins, digital assets, and these particular markets, like the UK, which is, incidentally, a huge monster in the FX market, they are constantly present. This is not an accident. Ripple is always present. I believe that one of the largest financial revolutions in history is about to occur. XRP and Ripple will play a significant role in that change. Furthermore, I really believe that this is far more significant than anyone actually realizes. Having said that, I hope you all found this video entertaining. You are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. If you would like, subscribe and turn on notifications for additional free stuff. Having said that, I want to thank everyone for watching, Nick. Goodbye.